And in another war zone, an apparent Russian artillery strike has hit the market in a southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, killing at least 6 people and wounding 3 others.
Automation hurts the nation! Automation hurts the nation!
Striking union dock workers chant, "Automation hurts the nation," on the picket line at the port of Houston in Texas. That strike is affecting 36 ports. However, there are reports of progress being made in recent negotiations. Also at townhall.com, U.S. job openings are rising as the labor market remains sturdy.
The Labor Department reported that employers posted 8 million job vacancies in August. That's up over 1.5 million from July. Economists had expected openings to be virtually unchanged. Layoffs fell in August, but the number of Americans quitting their jobs, a sign of confidence in the labor market, slid in August. Job openings have come down steadily since peaking in March 2022, but they remain above where they stood before the coronavirus pandemic hit the American economy in early 2020. Hayya Panjwani, Washington.
And on Wall Street, the Dow losing 58 points, the NASDAQ Composite 218 in the red. More at townhall.com.
Hey, folks, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at the Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word prepare to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text prepare to 989898. That's prepare to the number 989898.
Like any good conservative, we have our principles and our values.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world,
I don't even know how conservatives can even take their head out of the ground long enough to complain about anything.
They're trying to call us conservatives Nazis.
I think they ought to be ashamed.
it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
All we want is freedom and liberties and less government.
I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm an American.
Welcome home.
Because everyone gets a voice.
This is News Talk STL.
News and information.
Welcome home. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning cold front shaking up our weather today. Behind that front, it's breezy, much less humid, not as warm as yesterday. Plenty of sunshine, though, an afternoon high of 74. North wind around 15 miles per hour, gusting at times up to 25. And then we'll drop through the 60s this evening. Should be really nice. All the way down into the 40s early Wednesday morning. That's the coolest we've been in nearly a month. 48 for the low tomorrow morning in St. Louis. Sunny and 76 Wednesday afternoon. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Bab Shane.
What happens next?
You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues.
Happens right here.
Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
The government and Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
America Decides 2024.
That he would weaponize the Department of Justice.
If she won the election, they'll go back to destroying our country.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
The time to rise has been engaged with better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday afternoon on Colombo and Company. There is a lot of breaking news happening, and we are going to be all over it for you as the afternoon unfolds here. It's also election night in America, or debate night in America as we get closer to election night. Tonight is the vice presidential debate, which means it is also the night for our vice presidential debate watch party out at Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. Get out there tonight, starting anytime after 4 o'clock, because when we are done here and we get ready to hand it over to Tim Jones and Chris Harps at 4 o'clock, they will be live at Johnny's Hideout doing their show out there from 4 to 6. Then from 6 to 8, they're going to have appetizers and a live preview with Tim and Chris and some others out there. And then, of course, tonight at 8 o'clock, the vice presidential debate starts, and it will be on every television out there at Johnny's Hideout. It will also be carried live by us here on News Talk STL. So, you can catch it everywhere. And, of course, this is going to be a great party tonight, a great place to be, a great atmosphere for this vice presidential debate. So get out there and check it out. Again, Johnny's Hideout is in High Ridge. You can get all the details, everything you need, address, that sort of stuff, all on our website, newstalkstl.com. And also want to say a big thank you to Blue Sky Promotions and Apparel, Freddy's Market, Luxury Drivers STL, and St. Louis Pizza and Wings in Afton. Great sponsors for this event tonight. And of course, big thank you to Johnny's Hideout for hosting the VP debate watch party tonight. So as we go through this afternoon, we will preview and maybe make some predictions about tonight's debate. And we will do that with Susie Moore from Red State, who will be with us in a little less than an hour from now, just after 3 o'clock. And in just about 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com to get his thoughts as well. And of course, one of the probably now the top question of the debate tonight will be centered around the Middle East and this latest development just today, just like within the last couple of hours. Iran has carried out another massive missile strike on Israel. I watched this live. I don't know if you can hear that. Jeez, right as I'm talking about a missile strike, it sounds like
talk about
bomb gets dropped on this building. Jeez, there's some construction going on right outside of our studio here. So if you hear that, that actually like shook me. Like
they're like
made me
digging
jump
into
a
the
little
building,
bit. Yeah.
so there's dirt under it. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
I know, right? Yeah. So I apologize for that. But if you hear some of that banging happening, it's because there is some construction happening here in our building right outside of our studio. So again, Iran carried out a missile strike against Israel this afternoon. This was something that, had been sort of expected because it was being threatened by Iran, and it was being something that the Israeli government and the IDF were warning its citizens about to be prepared for. It happened, like I said, a couple hours ago, and watching this unfold live is just amazing. Like the period of time that we are in right now, where you can watch in real time, in high definition, a war, essentially, and just watching these missiles, hundreds of missiles. So these live cameras over various cities in Israel, it show the skyline, and then show the sky, the night sky there, just filled with missiles, just filled with these, what look like, basically it kind of look like shooting stars, just, like these white moving objects that are missiles that have been launched by Iran to try to basically wipe out the entire country. Hundreds of missiles launched within a span of about 10 or 15 minutes. And so you see all of these dots. It's like the old arcade game Galaga. You see all of these missiles coming in from one direction, and then you see all these other white dots, which are the interceptor missiles being launched by the IDF, flying up in the sky. And as they are taking out the missiles that are in the sky, you're seeing the explosions happen. It's just unbelievable to watch that. And I'm sitting in my office today watching this live on television, and it's nerve-wracking and scary, but it's so common over there that it barely even is news unless it's something that is on the scale of today, which reports have been between, I've heard as few as 180 missiles were launched by Iran today, and I've heard as many as nearly 400. So somewhere in there, but hundreds of missiles, not like that matters, but just hundreds of missiles launched today by Iran against Israel. And when you're watching this, if you're sitting there like I was today, and you're not used to watching this, and you see all of these missiles coming at you in the sky, it doesn't seem possible that they can all be stopped, but they all were, or at least most of them were. And I learned today about the we've talked about how amazing that the Iron Dome and the missile defense system that Israel has, how just absolutely incredible it is at stopping these things. If the system determines that one of the attacking missiles is going to land somewhere that it's not going to do any damage or cost any life, like if it's going to land in an empty field or something like that, or an unpopulated rural area, it will just it will not waste a interceptor missile on that attacking missile. So it will just let it fall. So other than those that were permitted by the Iron Dome defense system, it doesn't look like any of the missiles that would have hit populated areas or taken people out would have did land. Most recent reports say that there were no casualties in today's attack, which is just, again, when you're watching this, it seems overwhelming and impossible to stop. But again, it is such a common, it's just the way of life. It's just everyday life in Israel that unbelievably they are just totally prepared for this type of attack. But it is, I mean, it really just, if you just sit down and think about this or watch this, with your own eyes and think about it without all of the messaging, the pressure, the BS, the talking points from, any protesters or anybody on either side, and just look at it with your own eyes and see what's happening. It is just incredible to me that there are such a not even still that there's still people defending the terrorists and anti-Israel. It's not even like that. Oh, there's still even a few people left. That side is so huge. That side is so well represented in the media and in politics, and it's just incredible. I mean, can you even imagine if any part of the United States suffered an attack with hundreds of missiles targeted at high population areas in the United States, what type of response we would have, rightfully so, of course. The country that would have launched that type of attack would be turned into a parking lot, and it should be. And yet somehow that's not okay for that to be the answer for Israel. The IDF put out a map showing all the points that were targeted today. Like think of your GPS map with the little pinpoint thing, for your destination or for whatever. If you like look up, grocery stores near me, and it'll put a whole bunch of pins in the map, to show you where all the grocery stores are. This was that type of map with pins for where all of the missiles were targeted today, all of the missiles that were launched by Iran, where they would have landed and where they were targeted. And it basically just you couldn't even see the land. You couldn't even see the country of Israel because the pins were just everywhere. It just covered everything. That same report said, the IDF said that approximately 10 million Israeli citizens were targeted by these attacks. Emily, do you know how many people, you know what the population of Israel is? Approximately 10 million Israeli citizens were targeted in these attacks.
I do not know.
10 million.
That's horrible.
It's the entire country.
Oh.
It's the entire country that was targeted
Crazy.
today. Like I said, in what ended up being the only major wave, at first there was talk that there could be multiple waves of this attack launched by Iran today. But in just the first 10, 15 minutes of watching it is when all of these happened. So just imagine how overwhelming, and of course that's the goal. They're trying to overwhelm the Iron Dome defense system by attacking with so many missiles at once that the system can't keep up and shoot them all out of the sky. But thankfully it did. And again, hundreds of missiles launched in a matter of just minutes. Israel has said that these attacks will not go unanswered, which I wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah.
Because again, if it happened to us, could you imagine? Of course it would not go unanswered. And just moments ago, right before we went on the air, in fact, I thought they were going to still be I thought the press briefing would still be happening when we started the show. I thought there was a chance that we would actually start the show with the press briefing happening at the White House, but it had ended just minutes before we went on the air, where the White House was giving an update about this situation. And one of the questions that was asked in that press briefing was, does the White House support a military response from Israel? And the answer was, we are in deep consultation with Israeli officials about what to do next. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, how is that not a quick, easy yes? How is that not the most easiest question to answer, the quickest answer that you could possibly have? Does the White House support a military response from Israel? How is that not just the quickest yes? Instead of I trimmed down the answer quite a bit. The answer was a long-winded, we're in deep consultation with Israeli officials, and this is obviously a very complex situation and with a lot of, moving parts, and I'm not going to speak for the president or even say exactly what we're like, it just went on and on, rambling BS answer, but it didn't need to be. It shouldn't have been. It should have been just a quick, easy yes, but it was not. All right. That is the update on what is happening right now. And we are going to obviously continue this conversation. We'll continue to keep an eye on everything happening over there in the Middle East. The IDF did put out a statement about an hour or so ago saying that no other attacks were that they were not aware of or warning the Israeli citizens of any more attacks this afternoon. And they were saying it was okay for the people that were in their bomb shelters or in secure areas or whatever that they could come out and they could go, back to their lives. So hopefully there is no more attacks today, but obviously it's something that we will continue to keep an eye on. And we will continue to talk about. And it will be, as I mentioned, a big part, I'm sure, of this vice presidential debate tonight. I'm sure this is going to be one of the major topics. So we will continue to talk about this. We'll preview that debate and get into all of the news of the day as we roll through a busy afternoon here on Colombo and Company. And we will be joined on the line by Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com next here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
See me and Julio down.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Oh, right now. Sorry. Took my headphones off for a second and lost my train of thought. The Walner Home Selling Team is the team to call if you are looking to purchase a new home right now. They have you covered whether you live in Missouri or Illinois, because the Walners are licensed in both states. You've heard us talk about, all the stats they have. They're selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. But as somebody who has worked personally with the Walners that's gone through this process, my wife and I sold our old house a couple of years ago through the Walners, with the Walners' help, and bought our new home on the other side of the transaction, again, with the Walners' help. And, having gone through that entire process with Rodney and Jen, I can tell you from firsthand experience that there is nobody better to work with. And that, the stats are one thing, but you sit down with the Walners, you set up that initial meeting. I remember it clearly. Having that first meeting in our kitchen with Rodney and Jen Walner, talking about what our, goals were, what our timeline was, and what we were looking to, hopefully get out of the sale of our home, and, where we were looking to try to find a new home. And, you have a lot of worry, and you have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns going into that conversation. And after that very first meeting, my wife and I knew that Rodney and Jen were the best team to work with. And over the next several weeks, as all of that unfolded, they absolutely proved us right. Rodney and Jen are just absolutely the best home selling team in the St. Louis area. It's still very much a seller's market out there right now, so a good time to sell your home. If this is something you've been thinking about, you need to call the Walners now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Walner Home Selling Team.
Looking for top quality tactical gear and expert advice? Look no further than Discount Tactical, your one-stop shop for all things firearms and self-defense. Located in the heart of Warrenton, we've been serving the community for 3 years with our friendly, professional, and knowledgeable staff. From custom AR builds and silencers to the largest selection of parts, we've got you covered. Self-defense weapons, SBRs, knives, ammo, custom holsters, weapon lights, optics, and body armor. Discount Tactical, online at discounttacticalarmory.com, or stop by today and gear up with confidence.
Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, along with daughter Sammy Tobler-Gregory, a team member here at our family-owned Body of Health Direct Primary Care Practice. Sammy, what are patients telling you about their experience at Body of Health?
I can't tell you how many patients I've had come to me and tell me they just so appreciate getting to sit across the table with their doctor and chat about whatever's going on with their healthcare needs for however long they need.
Want to learn more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
This hour of Larry Connors USA, brought to you by my friends at Renewal by Anderson. And listen to this, Renewal is having a killer of a sale. Buy any window or door, get a second one, 50% off, 0 interest, no payments for 18 months. Renewal has the most 5-star reviews of any full-service window company. Simply dial pound 250, pound 250, and say the key word, windows.
Tim Jones here for my favorite St. Louis Sports Bar and Grill experience, the go-to spot of Johnny's Hideout. Johnny's Hideout featuring over 40 big screen TVs to watch all the great games this college and NFL season. Awesome food specials every single day that I absolutely love. Bike nights, classic cars on Wednesdays, live music every weekend, and a fantastic time to visit the gorgeous Sunset Patio. Located just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois, open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. onwards. All the information you need to know at jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
We set the stage for the debate, and tomorrow night, the man many of you love to hate, John Laboutiere, evaluates the debate.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. As I mentioned, the White House gave their briefing about the Iranian attack in Israel today, the missile attack launched against Israel today. That happened right before the show started, but right now the Pentagon is giving their live briefing. So I want to dip live into this. This is in Washington, D.C. right now. Major General Pat Ryder, the press secretary for the Pentagon, is taking questions and talking about today's attack by Iran on Israel. Let's dip into this for a second live.
Other than to say, we mean what we say and we say what we mean.
And then a follow-up question. Iran claims to have used a new Fatah missile, which is supposed to be a hypersonic ballistic missile. Can you assess whether they did use new and advanced weaponry in this attack and whether they learned from the April attack?
Again, we're still assessing the attack and the outcomes. And so, we may have more to provide later, but I don't have anything on that right now. Dan.
Thanks for your time. Two questions, please. On Secretary Austin's statement last night, he referred to being supportive of operations along the border. Is he open to Israel using operations on both sides of the border? Along the border was a little vague there.
Well, I think I'd go back to how I responded to Joseph, right? We understand and support Israel's right to defend itself against Hezbollah, as we highlighted in the readout. We understand that part of that is dismantling some of the attack infrastructure that Hezbollah has built along the border. Certainly, again, we don't want to see this, broaden into a wider regional conflict, but we understand, again, that what Israel is doing are limited operations to destroy that attack infrastructure and then enable citizens on both sides of the border to return home. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we do think that a diplomatic resolution is the only way to achieve lasting stability and security across the Israel-Lebanon border. So, we're going to continue to work to that end. But we also, again, understand Israel's need to defend itself.
And then a follow. The State Department read out a report on a attack on a diplomatic facility at Baghdad Airport last night. Have you seen any other attacks on U.S. forces, I guess, since Friday? This one would seem to be on a diplomatic facility, but be it in the last day, particularly at this heightened time of tension, or just broadly over the last couple of days?
Yeah, as of right now, I'm not aware of any additional attacks. Thanks, sir.
The Iron Dome, how effective is it against ballistic missiles? And some of the televised images appeared to show some of them landing on infrastructure. Are you aware of that? In general, was this attack more effective than the Iranian attack in April?
Again, understanding that a lot is still, very initial. As I highlighted, initial indications are that there was minimal damage on the ground. In terms of the specifics, I would have to refer you to Israel really to talk through that. And again, as more information comes in, we'll certainly know more. But the initial assessment is that Israel was able to successfully defend itself, of course, with the support from the U.S. And so, again, we may have more later on that. Helene?
Thanks, Pat. I just want to be clear because it seems like we're at a very dangerous time where any kind of ambiguity from the U.S. could lead to an attack on American troops. And when you say I understand when you say that we're going to defend any attack at American troops. I also understand that that you said that no American troops were hurt. Therefore, are you saying the U.S. is not planning on a kinetic strike against Iran? Because right now, when you say there will be consequences, all of that, you're leaving it vague and people don't understand. And I want to understand, are we going to be joining Israel in hitting back against Iran in a kinetic manner?
Yeah, so with all due respect, you're talking about a hypothetical future, right? And presupposing what Israel may or may not do. So I'm just not going to talk about.
But you said there will be consequences, and Jake Sullivan said there will be consequences. So
right.
what is that?
It's so beyond frustrating. That was a great question there by that reporter. And for Pat Ryder to say that is a hypothetical, whether or not the United States would join Israel in a counter strike. I mean, just Crane is with us. I mean, take it for a second because I'm so this just makes me so mad.
It's very hard because I think a lot of times things in the world we can look at and it's an arm's distance, it's a television screen distance, it's not impacting us. but we know what's going on here. We are facing a war with brutal killers, terrorists, and they're the same enemy in the sense of the Hamas in the south, Hezbollah, arm of the Iranian government in the north. I know that their strategy was, hey, we'll get the Sunnis and Shias together because they hate Israel so much. They want to kill Jews so much that they'll ignore their differences, because there is that undergirding the entire issue, the Shia-Sunni issue. But they come together on two things: one, Israel; two, the United States, and both of them are Satan in their minds. And so we are in that fight. And what we're looking for, Tony, is exactly what the reporter said, in the sense of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that word.
I got you.
Ambiguity.
Yeah.
Golly, that I don't know what happened.
Don't even-
Brain.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I can't.
not to be
I won't be able to say
ambiguous.
it now. That not to be
Yes.
ambiguous. There you go. Yes.
Not to be ambiguous. Thank you. All right. Clicking on all cylinders. So the idea is that we want clarity. Clarity is power. We want to know what George W. Bush did when he said, you're either with us or against us. People ridiculed him for that. But guess what? That statement actually saved lives, because it told the world, if you mess with us or choose to harbor terrorists, you're going to have a problem. So take care of your own country. And we saw that in the sense of Gaddafi and releasing his nuclear program, and after Saddam was pulled out of a spider hole. I'm not trying to relitigate the Iraq war,
No.
but I was and continue to be in support of what we did and what we were able to do before President Obama created the vacuum for ISIS. So I look at this and I think we are in good versus evil. And this is not a tough one.
It's
And
not a
the
tough
idea-
one. Right.
Yeah, it's clear. It is clear as day. And that's why they ripped down those posters, because the more clear you make it, more focused you make it, more history you let them know within context, it's a no-brainer. And then people say, well, how did Nazis get so popular, and why were Republic of Germany? How did that happen after World War I and all that? You go, how does that even happen? I'll tell you how it happens. Jackasses and ignorance and a lie that one believes. And they've been telling lies about Israel since its 20th century inception, in the sense of 48. And they've been attacked. And here's the deal. The United States shares the values of Israel. We share the idea of a free world with Israel. Israel will give more rights to Palestinians and Arabs in their country than their host countries do, or within Gaza. Again, every time you go and you hit this, you say, why, how on earth is this going on? And why can't we have leaders that clearly state what we're going to do? Now, we'll have people respond to what I just said and say, oh, you're a warmonger. Hey, jackass, the war is here, okay? Pardon me, I shouldn't name call, and I apologize. The fact is, the war is here. I'm not saying we commit troops. I'm not saying we do anything there. There's many things we can do. But I'll tell you, with the Houthis, what works is kinetic force. With enemies that are willing to slaughter innocents, what works? Kinetic force. It could be many different ways we can do that. And we're not talking ground invasion. We are talking about using the power of the bully pulpit to define the issue, shape the narrative, so it's honest, and then build support and basically say to the world, how can you not support Israel here?
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And you said it perfectly. This is not a difficult question. This is not a hard one to pick a side or understand good from evil. And it's I've said this before. Israel gets penalized because it's so good at defending itself. If the Iron Dome wasn't in place and it wasn't as unbelievably sophisticated and good at protecting Israeli lives as it is, the cities in Israel would be wiped out. There were hundreds, somewhere between 200 and 400 missiles today were launched by Iran at all the most. If those get through, which they are That's their intent. Iran wants them to get through. They are trying to kill people. It's not like they're sending out warning shots. They are wanting to wipe out Israel. If that happened, then the whole world would be screaming. Oh, and these pictures are on live television. Like I said, I was watching this live today with, anybody else had the news on this afternoon. It was, it was everywhere. If you watch these missiles hit these cities and just kill millions of people in one swoop, you would of course be up in arms and screaming about how terrible and disgusting and what an awful world we live in that this is happening. But because Israel defends itself and strikes all those missiles down, it's like the attack doesn't count. And so if Israel wants to then launch a counterattack, I cannot believe, I mentioned earlier it just happened again during this Pentagon press briefing, but the same thing happened during the White House press briefing afterwards, that when the question is asked, does the White House support Israel, an Israeli military response to this, that the answer is not a quick, easy yes. It's a, well, we're not going to talk about hypotheticals, and we're in deep consultation with the Israeli officials, and we'll see, there's lots of variables and happening here and a lot of moving parts. No, there's not. They were attacked. There was an attempt
by the same enemy that killed Americans.
Yes.
Over decades. And don't forget obviously, the Beirut bombing. This is,
Israel is, Iran classifies Israel as the little Satan and the United States as the big Satan. These people want to wipe Israel and the United States off the map. And we can't have a decisive answer in a press conference that, we are going to defend ourselves and our allies and freedom.
And that ambiguity will actually lead to more conflict. If you're against war, then prepare for war and set deterrence up so that people recognize there is a major. Israel is actually facing an existential threat. That's not hyperbole. That's reality. And if the United States can't be clear about our enemies, Hezbollah, Hamas, but the Iranian sponsored, obviously, and created Hezbollah. But the fact is, if we can't get on the same page there and be absolutely clear, wow, that's a shameful day. And I would say that's a shameful day in those responses.
Yeah, it is. It is a shameful. I mean, it just right there during that Pentagon briefing, when asked if they would support Israel defending itself militarily, the Pentagon spokesperson, General Ryder, says, we support Israel. We always will support Israel's rights to defend itself. But then he's got to go into this long list of qualifiers and, say, well, and, and as long as Israel's conducting limited attacks on military targets and blah, 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 they're not these are not limited attacks on military targets. They are trying to kill as many, the terrorists in Gaza, the Hezbollah terrorists that are working with Iran and conducting these attacks. They want to wipe out every man, woman, and child in Israel. They are not targeted attacks against the government or military institutions. It is unbelievable to me that we still have two sets of rules. Israel has to play by an entirely different set of rules than the terrorists do. And yet the terrorists continue to get support from protesters in America, the media in America, politicians in America. It is, I know we're spinning we're spinning our wheels here, Crane, but it's Tony, unbelievable. How much do you have to understand before you realize how ridiculous it is that this is even a conversation?
It's interesting to me because we both experienced in the way of watching 9/11 and seeing what took place, and the idea that 20 plus years later, you have people protesting in favor of the organizations or the types of organizations that committed that heinous crime and that heinous attack. And if anybody looks at October 8th, we're coming up on the year anniversary. If anybody looks at the fact that what
October
you pointed
7th,
out, 10,
it's been a year.
October 7th,
It's been a year.
pardon me, October 7th, and look at what you pointed out on the missiles. There, 10 million at risk, right?
I'm
And
looking
that's
at
the entire country.
It's the entire country. I mean, the pictures are easy to find. I'm watching more of them right now, and I watched it live. The overwhelming amount of missiles that are flying in the air that are coming down at Israel, it looks overwhelming. It doesn't look like it could possibly be real. And if it is, it doesn't seem like it could possibly be stopped. And yet it is, because Israel has to be prepared for this, which is, unbelievable also. But just when you see these pictures and you imagine these are just, it looks like any other city. It looks like when you're looking at the pictures above Tel Aviv, from the skyline, it looks like any city in America. But instead, there's literally 200 missiles coming down on top of it all at once and being stopped. And the people that are launching those missiles, they would destroy every American man, woman, and child tomorrow if they could. And yet we still have a country, we still have a media, we still have politicians.
We have universities that actually are claiming that Israel's the perpetrator and that the terrorist organizations are the victims, even though they know full well they use that propaganda, putting civilians in harm's way, as Hamas does, as Hezbollah does. And you see, and we know this. So I think a lot of people are outraged because we're sitting there going, hey, we can fix this problem. This is not a hard problem in the sense of understanding it and what side to come down on it. And I think this applies to a whole host of things that are happening in America today. We're sitting there going, we're not fixing any problem. We're not even being clear about identifying the problem. We're getting double speak. We're getting at times gaslit. This is what's going on. There's a crisis of confidence. And you have put on the radio in your first segment, you pointed out why, exactly why, because it's not a difficult decision.
It's not. It should not. It should not be. This is not a difficult question to ask yourself. It's not a difficult situation to understand good from evil. I mean, it's unbelievable. It will be obviously a major part, I would imagine, of tonight's vice presidential debate. So let's take a breath. I want to continue the conversation, but I do want to switch to that vice presidential debate and get some preview, some predictions about what we expect to see tonight as we continue through the conversation with Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. He is sticking around to continue the discussion here next on Colombo and Company.
Ways you play forgiveness. Watch it now. Here he comes. He doesn't.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose your Dixon Notch. Yeah. You lost America. I saw it etched on coins up here.
This is News Talk STL.
So October is here. We have entered the fall season, which means a lot of the leaves are starting to fall out of the trees. And this can be a major problem for your gutters if you don't have the right protection up there. And if you are having any issues with your gutters being clogged up by leaves or any other problem up there, the Gutter Pros is the team to call. Gutter Pros, of course, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Right now, I would say leaf protection is the number one thing you should be looking out for and the number one thing that you can take advantage of at Gutter Pros. But it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a gutter repair from other damage that may have been done, or new gutter installation, or siding repair, or new siding installation. They do it all at Gutter Pros. They also offer free estimates that you can take advantage of as well. So if you have any of these problems, or you just want to prevent those gutters from clogging up due to all the leaves falling out of the trees right now and just want to get that leaf protection installed before it becomes a problem, Call the Gutter Pros now. Call them at 314-656-7195 or just contact them and learn more through the website gutterpros.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
How are the trees, shrubs, bushes, and all of your other valuable outdoor assets doing at your home or business? Tim Jones here to remind you that Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for all your tree care needs and so much more. From top-notch tree services to outstanding organic mulch, green resource recycling, grinding and land clearing, and more, let Hanson's team of expert insured arborists take care of your yard so it looks the best it can be as we head towards fall. Get a free quote, book an appointment today at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.994 News Talk STL. Continuing the conversation with our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. Also, in just about a little more than 10 minutes, we will also be joined by Susie Moore from Red State to get her thoughts on everything happening today and the debate tonight. So, Crane, as I said, let's switch gears and talk about tonight's vice presidential debate. I mentioned earlier, we have our debate watch party happening tonight at Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. If you want to watch the debate in a very cool, unique setting, get out there and check it out. All the details on our website, newstalkstl.com. Aside from, let's set all the issues aside, even this Middle East situation right now, just big picture wise, how big of an impact can either one of these candidates make on the American voter tonight? Is there anybody really that could have their minds changed, or, what type of impact other than obviously just the reality television entertainment aspect of it that I'm definitely going to be watching for? Does it have any real impact on actual voter decisions tonight?
I actually think it does.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be watched by a lot of people. And the reason I say that, because historically it hasn't had much impact, because you had Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, the great Mike Pence, debating, and the fly was the issue or something along those lines.
Right. That's right. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. The fly on Mike Pence's head. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kamala Harris's "Can I finish?" It was actually "I'm talking now." She
Yes.
kinda got
Right.
that
Right.
from Ross Perot way back when. So the deal is that we didn't get answers in that first debate. We got a lot of BS and we got bias. And it's Trump's performance, as it were, obviously some misses. JD Vance is not going to miss, but also watch out for Waltz, because they are setting low bar for this guy. They're even saying that he's frightened and scared.
He's scared. Yeah.
And he's kooky. His wife is kooky. Sounds kooky. I'm not a doctor, but they sound kooky.
Yeah.
But
I'll
more
I'll
importantly-
diagnose him with kookiness. Yeah. I'll make
Yes.
that. I'm not a doctor either, but I'll make that diagnosis.
And he's not honest. And JD has the goods. He has the receipts. And JD Vance has proven himself to be a very skilled debater and communicator. He's been going out on every show. He knows where President Trump stands on issues. he doesn't know where Kamala Harris stands on issues, and either does her running
Nobody
mate, the guy
does.
he's debating.
Nobody
Yes.
does. Nobody does. Not even she knows where she stands on all of these issues.
Yeah.
I think that tonight, I think one of the things that I agree with you, I think that it can have some impact. Again, I will stick with what I've said all along. I'm not sure that either side can change anybody's minds at this point, but I think that what's on the line is motivating the people that are on your side, motivating people to say, this is the team that I believe in, that I'll go out of my way to support, that I'll take, I'll change my day to go vote. I'll make sure that I'm registered. I'll make sure that I make plans to go and vote. Whereas if you're not so into somebody like, oh yeah, I prefer the Democrats over the Republicans usually, but Kamala Harris doesn't really, motivate me to take action. I think that's the type of inspiration, motivation that's on the line in this election overall. And with that in mind, I think that this is the country's maybe one and only chance to really see Tim Walz for who he is. Now, we can't count on any real questions or follow up or obviously fact checking or anything from these moderators, but I still think that we can get like we've seen it and we've talked about it. People that cover the news, we've seen how goofy he is with all his gesturing on stage and his shakiness and his waves and his goofiness and his, just the way he handles himself. But, a lot of people haven't really seen who Tim Walz is. And I think this is an opportunity to, for Republicans, for the country, really, for conservatives and for the country to see what a goofball this guy is. Do you think that could be exposed? And how much do you think that the CBS moderators will try to cover for any of that goofiness, the bad answers that a guy like Tampon Tim Walz may be giving tonight?
I think they will try to cover. I think it will be so in your face, and they'll be filibustering at times. When JD Vance is making some very good points, interruptions, but here's the deal: people are looking for Walz to talk about bad grammar to explain a lie. People are looking when he says, why did you say we can't handle 3.5 more years of this? Well, you're exactly right. Of this is the administration currently in, for which she is the president, or currently the vice president, 25th Amendment away from being the president. And so I think this is going to be a very opportunity-rich environment. And it would be like a mosquito on a nude beach. There are so many places that JD Vance can sting.
Why would you not? How could you not, as a moderator? Because I promise you this question won't be asked tonight. And if it is, it'll be some kind of, wrapped around cover, answering the question for you before it even gets answered type of situation. How can you not, with all the nickname of Tampon Tim and all that, how can you not as a moderator just say, Governor Walz, can you please explain why you think it was necessary to put tampons in the boys' locker rooms in Minnesota high schools and middle schools? Like, how do you not just flat ask that question? Because that's one of the biggest issues surrounding him, but we're not going to see those very obvious, straightforward questions tonight, are we, Crane?
No, but JD Vance has the opportunity to bring up specific circumstances like the lockdown and people that were impacted by being arrested or being not allowed to open businesses or seeing their police station burn and let it burn and not bring in the National Guard. Here's the thing, Tony, as we talk about this every week, I just can't for the life of me think of why, unless they're personally benefiting from a subsidy, that you would vote Democrat. Because these people, in the sense of for president, these people are so arrogant, they're not even willing to tell you what they really believe. And the other part is they're not willing to protect you.
And they don't like you either. They don't like you either. They despise you.
They despise you in the way, and you look for actions over words, and you see the actions. But if you're looking at your family and you're thinking government's job is to protect my family, and then you think of the victims of illegal immigration, and you see what we've seen most recently, which would be it would end the election if it were for a Republican record.
Yeah, and I don't mean, and I'm not just talking about, white conservatives when I say they despise you.
Right.
They hate the black community. They hate the Hispanic community. They hate the Christian community. It is across the board. Unless you are an illegal immigrant or somebody who, falls into some, woke demographic for them. They just they think that you are an evil problem.
Well, here's the thing, Tony. They hate conservatives or people that don't support them because it's about power. It's not about ideology.
That's it.
And that's the problem. They could be any color, any race, whatever it may be, any ethnicity, and and then if you look for examples, because people would say, well, that's an overstatement. Tell me this. Tell me why Christians were investigated at school board meetings or not. Why was a place like a bar allowed to open and not a church? You tell me. Tell me how the government has actually used this or gotten a hold of it, because they've shown you nothing but disrespect.
Great stuff, as always, from Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Buddy, I am looking forward to talking to you after this debate happens, and we will see if we were right about our predictions with how the moderators are going to behave and what kind of questions are going to be asked and all of those things. And I'm sure there will be a lot to unpack. So looking forward to having you back on to do that very soon. In the meantime, make sure
News Talk STL is all over. I love the watch party, man.
And so is nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. So make sure you're checking those places out. Crane Durham, we'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Love you.
All right, back at you, buddy. And we will continue the conversation with Susie Moore from Red State. She joins us next here on Colombo and Company.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The Roots and Boots Tour 90s Electric Throwdown with Sammy Kershaw, that's my story. Colin Ray, and Aaron Tippett. Saturday, November 9th at the Family Arena.
Nothing wrong.
Reserve seats on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture Box Office, located at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster. Roots and Boots Tour 90s Electric Throwdown. Blue Oyster Cult is back live. Friday, October 4th at the Family Arena. With special guests, Tommy DiCarlo, a former lead singer of Boston, and Jason Sheff, longtime lead singer of Chicago. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture Box Office, located at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster. Blue Oyster Cult.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL
at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. After reports an attack was imminent, Iran did strike Israel, firing dozens of missiles all over Israel. There are no reports of any casualties. Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis says the warnings were sent out before the attack.
They, of course, gave a warning to Washington diplomatically saying, we're about to shoot something at Israel. And basically, that's in response to the assassination and the killing of Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah.
The Pentagon consulting with Israel on the next steps, but is concerned about a possible wider regional conflict. However, Israel has vowed significant retaliation after the attack. Also at townhall.com, destruction from Hurricane Helene reported from Florida to Virginia. Rescuers are scouring the mountains of western North Carolina for anyone still unaccounted for. The death toll at more than 150 people. Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz debating each other in New York tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. White House correspondent Greg Cluxton looks at the ground rules.
The two sides agreed that the vice presidential candidates' microphones will stay on while their opponent is speaking, unlike the two presidential debates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Vance won a virtual coin toss and will speak last. CBS, which is hosting the debate, also said it would be up to the candidates, not the moderators, to fact-check each other in real time. There will be no audience. Greg Clugston, New York.
The Salem Radio Network and the Salem News Channel are offering a simulcast of tonight's CBS News vice presidential debate. The Dow closing down 173 points. More at townhall.com.
If anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, Vindicating Trump, exposes the real reason for the left's pathological hatred of Trump.
Trump has beaten back every attack against him.
I am your voice.
We have one target. Let's look at everything. Campaign, his family.
Isn't that election interference?
It's not interference if we do it.
And that scares them.
Vindicating Trump in theaters nationwide now. Get your tickets today at vindicatingtrump.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We've got a big cool down tonight compared to this morning. 48 for the overnight low, cool and crisp. You have to watch for a little fog near the rivers. So if you commute across a bridge in the morning, heads up, could see a little fog. That slows things down. Otherwise, sunny skies and a real nice day after that cool start. 74 in the afternoon. Thursday's going to get a little warmer, though. 82 for the afternoon with sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Fox News commentary.
A women's group plans to file a lawsuit against the Secret Service over its DEI initiatives. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
Assassination attempt of Donald Trump in Butler, PA. It was hard to look past those viral images of the female Secret Service agents present on that scene. The incident inspired a proposed lawsuit from the nonprofit group Independent Women's Forum against the Secret Service over what it alleges are the Secret Service's arbitrary diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives they say harm female employees. The director of IWF says the agency's 30% female quota defies Title VII and the 14th Amendment, which prohibits employers from discriminating on the basis of sex. The Secret Service's Former director Kim Cheadle was known to take those DEI hiring quota practices very seriously. And while the IWF supports female involvement in law enforcement careers, the group also believes quota hiring practices actually hurt women and the work women do to earn their spots. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Well, this reminds me of something. I mentioned this last week. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick. Remember her? We have a show on November 30th, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, out at Diamond Music Hall. Tickets are already on sale for this show. And it is my band and Duran and Duran, which is a tribute to Duran Duran, if you couldn't pick up on that. And the headlining act is our buddy Jason Nelson from the Retro Nerds and his amazing Queen tribute show, Somebody to Love. And so I've done a lot of work. We've opened for them in the past. Our band has. I've also emceed a lot of the Somebody to Love shows over the years. It is an absolute blast, and what a great time. Hopefully it'll be a happy time, as it'll be the kickoff of the Christmas season, and we could use some positivity and some fun some fun events in our lives. So you can get your tickets now. They're already on sale at diamondmusichall.com, the Diamond Music Hall website. And again, the show is November 30th, the Queen tribute band, Somebody to Love, tribute to Duran Duran, and my band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring the return of Katie Fitzpatrick. Can't wait for that night. Go and check it out. All right, we had a jam-packed 2 o'clock hour there. If you missed any of it, make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything that happens here on the show. We put the show out on basically every podcast platform right after we get off the air every day, so you never have to miss any of those great conversations. I gave my thoughts on these attacks today, the Iranian attacks on Israel. It's now the official number is 181 missiles launched today by Iran against Israel. Unbelievably, again, the Iron Dome defense system doing an incredible job. No casualties reported at this point. We talked a lot about this with Crane Durham and everybody in that first hour. So if you missed my big rant, make sure you go check it out. And now I want to continue the conversation with our friend Susie Moore from Red State. And Susie, I can't help but, there's other things I want to talk about, but I got to ask you for your thoughts. And, after this latest attack on Israel today carried out by Iran.
Well, I think that, obviously this is kind of monumental. What's going on It was telegraphed very, very shortly before they actually launched. There were reports coming out this morning, and it seemed like it was imminent. And it in some ways, it's a little puzzling because it seems very similar to the attack that they launched in April, which is basically, we're going to shoot a bunch of stuff at you, but you're not allowed to shoot back at us.
Right.
We're still going to shoot a bunch of stuff at you, okay? And the good thing is you've got good defenses, so we're not going to really hurt you, but we're going to show you how bad we are.
Yeah, I said this earlier, Susie. It's like Israel gets punished, basically, as far as the reaction to this is concerned, for how good they are at defending themselves. If these missiles were to do what they are intended to do, and hit these cities, basically wipe out Tel Aviv and all the major population centers in Israel and kill millions of people, then I would expect that the reaction would be much different and people would be calling for military retaliation and, something to put a stop to this. But because Israel is so good at defending itself, because it's so accustomed to be under attack, it's like it doesn't count. It's like these hundreds of missiles don't count. It's baffling to me.
It is too, because and even if Iran launches them knowing that the vast majority, if not all of them, are going to be intercepted and repelled. I mean, they're depleting their staff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hurling.
But that's not what they want. They want them to land.
Right.
And that's why they send so many at once, because they're trying to overwhelm the Iron Dome defense system. They're thinking maybe if we fire 200 missiles all at once, maybe a few of them will get through. It's not like they're just playing a game like, oh, we know you're going to shoot them down. We're not really trying to hurt anybody. No,
Right.
They're trying to kill people. Millions of people.
I mean, if they aren't, they're even, more messed up than we think they are. That's the thing. So it's just, I mean, I think one of the stumbling blocks that we, particularly in the U.S., have when it comes to our foreign policy and our Mid-East foreign policy is a blind spot when it comes to understanding the way, in particular, Iran, at least the leadership in Iran for the past 40 some odd years, thinks. Like we always want to kind of imprint onto other countries and other cultures how we look at things, the Western way of viewing things. And that doesn't always compute. And I think that leaves us extraordinarily blind and naive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, it's got to leave naive. Being naive and being blind is about the only way that I can explain on a day like today how these protesters and these politicians that are anti-Israel and pro-terrorist, how they have a leg to stand on and how they can be taken seriously. Today or tomorrow as this unfolds, because as soon as Israel launches a counterattack, which it should, of course. I mean, as I mentioned in the first hour, can you imagine if an attack like this was conducted against the United States? We'd turn the country that attacked us into a parking lot, rightfully so, because they're trying to kill millions of Americans. But as soon as Israel does that, they're going to be the great devil again. It's just, how does that mindset continue to be so prevalent?
Well, I mean, it's this is going to sound like a weird analogy.
Please, it's a weird time. So
right. In some respects, Israel is like the Donald Trump of the world, in the sense that, no matter which way you look at it, they're the bad guy. So when they're getting shot at, it's their fault.
They deserve it.
And when they fight back, they're bad guys.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this, when we talk a lot of times about people kind of dwelling in their ideological bubbles and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of the people that you see, particularly here in the relative safety of the United States, who are protesting and part of this movement, they're still living in their little bubble. They're in their little academic world where it's very safe to be edgy and have seemingly, erudite and educated stance. But those people haven't dealt with reality. They haven't lived in reality, and when it's brought to them face to face, they scream and howl like howler monkeys. I mean, think about it. When you see actually police move in and actually start to make arrests, for instance, when you get a protest that's kind of getting out of hand, and the screeching and screaming that you hear in response to that, like, we're allowed to sit here like little babies and stomp our feet, and the second you throw a pitcher of cold water on us, it's even, it's DEFCON 1.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've had the luxury, I think, of having that mentality and not being challenged with reality and not having to recognize that the world doesn't work the way their nice, neat little tidy academic bubble says it does. But I think we're kind of on the brink of a lot of reality smacking.
I hope so. I don't know what it'll take for a reality check or for the just common sense to break through, in these areas. But here's the thing. You and I, we know, like, those people, when you talk about the people that are like organizing this, that are behind this, there are plenty of protesters on the street. We've seen so many interviews. I remember Katie and I, it was probably in the April, maybe not after the April attacks. Maybe it was during the big college campus protests, where they were interviewing these protesters on the streets who literally had no idea why they were there. Like there was one interview where the interviewer was like, why are you here? Oh, we're here because somebody told us that they needed more people over at this location, so we're here. But and then the interviewer said, yeah, right, but what are you protesting? And she looks at her friend and goes, what are we protesting? Yeah, what are we? So I get it at that level. There are just literally just some people that are absolutely dumb and clueless about what they're talking about. But the people that you just referenced, Susie, the people that are organizing this, the people that sit in their, on their thrones in these academia castles, they are smart enough to know, where the history of this war, the history of that region, and therefore have to know that the terrorists that they are supporting in Gaza, the Hezbollah terrorists, the people in Iran, if they could, they would kill every American tomorrow. They would kill that person if they could tomorrow, which makes it even more baffling to me that these people exist. You are smart enough to know that in their mind over there, Israel is the little Satan and the United States is the big Satan. And if they can ever wipe out little Satan, big Satan is always next on their list. And yet they still go out and they rile up these kids and they these idiots that are willing to go out there and break the law to, protest these and push this stupidity. What is in it for these people? It's the ultimate, like, I don't get it question that I don't know. I don't have an answer for.
Well, some of it could be that I think was it Winston Churchill that said, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile hoping he will eat him last.
Yeah, I mean, guess
some of it's that. Some of it, I think it all ties into not really having a realistic concept of how Iran in particular, let's just say, views the rest of the world and its place in it, and therefore not, they're trying to kind of project onto it a more nobler mentality and aim than is there. But I think in the end, it just comes down to being very sheltered and not living in reality. And again, as I said, I think there are, pretty much the whole world is getting a heavy dose of reality, and that's a painful thing.
Yeah.
and just, there are people that aren't, that they're refusing delivery on it thus far, and at some point they're not going to have that luxury.
Yeah, that is the best answer that I've heard so far. The analogy there, the Churchill analogy, appeaser, the person that hopes that the crocodile eats them last. That's the best answer I've heard. But also, for that to work, you have to assume that the crocodile is going to eat you. And these people live in a world where they know that they will live their whole entire life and never really have to worry about the threat of Iranian missiles or Palestinian missiles or missiles launched from, the terrorists in the Middle East flying over their heads and destroying the cities and killing themselves and their families. They know that they are as protected as any person on earth could be protected from those things.
Let's call it American privilege.
Yeah, it is American privilege, but so when you have that, you don't need to be the one that is appeasing the terrorists, thinking, well, when they get here, hopefully they kill me last or they take mercy on me because I was on their side the whole time. They don't have to worry about that. So why? So again, it just creates the question of what on earth is in it for you to support and to defend and to benefit such evil. It just is. Most things, Susie, even one that I totally disagree with, and I know you're the same way too. Most things that I totally disagree with, I can still see the argument, whether or not I think it's misguided or wrong, or, I can see where they're trying to come from. This one gets me so worked up because I just don't see, I cannot understand any benefit or any reason to be on the side of something that is so clearly evil.
Tony, you are trying to apply rationality where there may not be any. In a sense, it's like oppositional defiance disorder against, I guess the traditional American way, and particularly anybody associated with the right or Donald Trump. So it's just oppose and signal your virtue, and there may or may not be rationality to it. So, sometimes there are things that don't make sense because the person who's purveying them isn't being sensible.
Yeah. Talking to Susie Moore from Red State. Got a few minutes here left. Let's switch gears to the vice presidential debate tonight. Obviously, I think this will be a major topic during the debate tonight. What else do you expect to see and hear on that debate stage tonight?
I expect to see and hear at least 2, if not 3 questions directed to J.D. Vance that go something along the lines of, Senator Vance, recently your running mate, former President Donald Trump, said that he thinks Vice President Harris is mentally deficient. Do you agree with that statement? And do you feel like it's appropriate for that's the way? Or recently, you and your running mate asserted that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating dogs and cats, and there's been no evidence of that found. Do you regret doing that now? That's going to be the tenor of several of the questions directed to J.D.
Do you think there'll be a question about eggs?
Pretty much guarantee. There might be, although he batted that one down pretty handily. And even though Stephanie Ruhle apparently doesn't understand hyperbole, I suspect the debate moderators do. But yes,
I mean, does that not show you the desperation, the craziness, the ridiculousness of the left and of the media, that Stephanie Ruhle, the person who interviewed Kamala Harris last week, a person that works for NBC News, MSNBC, but still NBC, is literally taking an exaggeration, hyperbole, and acting like it's real. JD Vance, I thought, did a great job in his first response on Twitter when he said, one time I said I was so tired I could sleep for days, but Stephanie Ruhle fact checked it, and I only slept for 8 hours. I mean, are you kidding me? And if people don't know what we're talking about, it was recently JD Vance was talking about his teenage boys and how much they eat and how they could eat 14 eggs for breakfast. And so Stephanie Ruhle from MSNBC calculated out how many eggs that would be in a week and a month, and talked about how unhealthy and crazy and ridiculous it was that JD Vance's children were eating that many eggs, when it was literally like the expression, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." They're not eating.
Exactly.
He's not eating a horse. They're not eating 14 eggs a piece.
Understand metaphorical language. The other thing that's interesting about that is Stephanie Ruhle, she completely kowtowed to Kamala Harris and got the interview, sat there in the interview, and you could see on her face the number of times that she looked at Kamala's answers and was like, that's not really a great answer. And she even acknowledged that in a follow-up discussion with her fellow panelists while still running cover for Kamala Harris. So it's like, okay, lady, you know how bad this is, and you're still running cover for her because in your mind, all that matters is making sure that Donald Trump doesn't take the White House again.
So
that's not journalism.
No.
That's advocacy.
No, exactly. That's campaigning. So the CNN debate, unbelievably, seems to be the best example of bipartisan moderators. Not saying that it was, it just, compared to what we saw on ABC, it was a joke. So we went into this CNN debate before we knew how horrible Joe Biden would be and the story that would come out of that would end the presidency for him. But, going into it, there was the same talk about the bias of the moderators, and it's on CNN and all these ridiculous rules and all of that. And you would think that CNN, and apparently they did try to quell some of that and at least appear to be more bipartisan and middle of the road. But we're still clearly biased, but nowhere near ABC. So that happens. Now we go into the ABC one. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's going to be biased. It's ABC. It's going to be crazy biased. And I think they even were worse than people were predicting, or we all thought it could be. So now going into this one, what do you expect from CBS? Do you think we get another serving of what ABC did? Another serving of just unadulterated bias? Or do you think that they will attempt to look more moderate, more bipartisan, and ask any tough questions to Tim Walz? Because I agree, they're definitely going to ask those type of ridiculous attacking questions to JD Vance. Will we see any of it for the sake of pretending to be true journalists on the other side?
I think it's going to be much closer to the ABC debate than the CNN debate, and here's why. I'm not completely sold on this, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if the directive ahead of the CNN debate was to not run cover for Joe Biden. And if he did okay, great. And if he flailed, then that was the perfect excuse to take him out. It's kind of hard to.
That's a great
completely
point.
combat that.
Yeah, that CNN went into it like, look, maybe maybe it is time for Joe to go, so let's not save him. If he can save himself, great. If not, let it play out. And maybe that was the motivation rather than trying to look like a real news organization.
Think about how quickly the left and the media descended upon that debate and Joe Biden's abilities after that debate. I mean, it was like someone flipped a switch and boom.
They were quicker than a lot of conservatives.
Yeah.
Were calling.
I think a lot of conservatives rightly thought, well, geez, what are they going to replace Joe with? That could be worse for us.
Right.
But, I mean, so I don't think that you're going to see the CBS moderators. They may not be quite as blatant as ABC was, because I don't know that JD Vance has quite the level of, hatred directed at him, although it's close, that Donald Trump has engendered over the years. But even so, I think you're going to see them, basically playing softball with Walz and hardball with Vance. And I suspect Vance is up to the challenge. The question is whether Walz will stumble or just manage to hold his own. And as long as he doesn't fall on his face, they're going to give him the win. They're going to say he did what he needed to do.
Right.
And that's all he needs to do is do what he needs to do.
Do you think he'll come out his normal goofy self with all the waving and the gesturing and the I am Tim Walz? Yeah,
I think it'll be subdued because it's not going to be the same type of venue like
as a rally.
Right. No, I think you'll see him trying to put his big boy pants on and act a little bit more like a grown up.
And no audience tonight, which I hate. Again, I don't know why this is the new way we do debates, but no live audience in front of that at that debate tonight. We'll be at the debate tonight, which I think is dumb.
Well, we'll be the audience and we'll be having fun with it. I know you guys will be at Johnny's Hideout enjoying it. We'll be doing a live vlog at Red State, so it's going to be definitely popcorn time.
Yeah, no kidding. Reality TV at its finest for sure, if nothing else. Susie Moore from Red State, redstate.com. Susie, thanks as always for your time and the insight this afternoon. Looking forward to your reaction to everything that we see tonight, and talking to you again soon, my friend. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day.
Sounds good, Tony. You too.
Yeah, great stuff there from Susie Moore from Red State. All right, as we mentioned, we have our debate watch party tonight at Johnny's Hideout. We will tell you a few more of those details coming up here. Also, Joe Biden. There's other headlines. There are other stories that I want to talk about this afternoon before we run out of time. Joe Biden is reportedly upset that Kamala doesn't want his help. His feelings are hurt that Kamala and the Democrats have seemingly forgot that he is still president of the United States and that he is very important. So we'll tell you that report and more next here on Colombo Company.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
When I got asked to talk to you guys about Michael's Flooring Outlet, I was actually very excited because I have experience with them and I can personally attest to the quality of their work and how happy I was with the work that they did when I needed new flooring. They're a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so I knew what I was getting when I used Michaels for my flooring needs. You want variety? Michaels has it. They've got carpet, they've got hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options for you to choose from. Plus, you know your installation is going to be done right the first time with Michaels because you get the flooring experts from Michaels and not just a random subcontractor. Also, with Michaels, you know you're going to get great prices and great quality. It's a win-win. So, if you have flooring needs, check out Michaels Flooring Outlet. You can shop in store at one of their 3 locations on Olive and Creve Coeur, on Town Square in Darien Prairie, on Main Street in St. Peters, or you can shop in-home. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Over the weekend, Trump's campaign in Wisconsin was going to be held outdoors, but it was moved inside a facility that could only hold maybe a few of the thousands that had gathered. Why the change? The Secret Service said, we're shorthanded. We don't have enough agents to protect you. And with the 2 recent attempts to kill you, you go inside. Why was the Secret Service so strained? Well, because they were helping protect the Iranian president in New York at the UN, the same guy who wants Trump killed. If they can't protect him, Trump has to change plans. But I fear now Secret Service is going to start using that as an excuse so they can keep large crowds from seeing him, make it appear that his support is dwindling. Maybe that's just my conspiracy thoughts, not facts. But riddle me this. Why is the Secret Service Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion asking agents to go on all-expense-paid trip to Disney World October 7 for an LGBTQ plus workshop? So they definitely won't have enough agents to protect Trump 2 weeks before the election, possibly? MICKEY. It's all Mickey Mouse.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, now open in the district of Chesterfield Valley. Napoli has the only coal-fired pizza oven. That means an incredible taste you cannot get anywhere else. So enjoy a unique pizza at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district. And then walk a few doors down and enjoy premium cigars and drinks at Lit Cigar Lounge. There's a perfect way to end the evening. Napoli Pizza followed by Lit Cigar Lounge. A winning combination.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Question: do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
So you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location. 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peters on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Tuesday, the Allman Report. It is the great debate. J.D. Vance and Walls. Check it out. News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Joe Biden is upset that Kamala Harris doesn't want his help. A brand new NBC News report disclosed that President Biden is feeling left out in the cold by the Democratic Party after going all in on Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. According to the report, which was released yesterday, Biden has mentioned to his allies his feeling that his accomplishments and legacy as president are being forgotten by the party, especially as Harris has tried to distance herself away from her boss policies and forge her own political identity after replacing him as the at the top of the Democratic presidential ticket. The report said, quote, President Joe Biden has privately complained to allies that his name and his accomplishments have virtually disappeared from the national conversation, and about how quickly the party that he has served for more than 5 decades appears to have moved on from him. This, according to at least 6 people familiar with his comments, all reported in this NBC story. According to those sources, the president has commented on Harris not mentioning him during recent campaign speeches, noting that he believes she should acknowledge his economic accomplishments. What are those? I don't know what you're supposed to acknowledge there, while touting her own vision on the issue. So Joe is
he's sad.
He's sad.
Dude, what allies gave him away? And also, like, which allies were going around and saying, like, Joe was sad? Like,
Joe is sad.
First of all, now I would be even more sad because my friends who I trusted told on me for being sad.
This is good. This is
I don't
good.
know.
This is good. Later on in the story, it says, additionally, the sources told NBC that Biden was, quote, particularly stung by Harris's recent line during the presidential debate in which she drew a stark distinction between her and Joe, saying, clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I'm certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. It sounds like Joe and probably Jill and the rest of the Biden team thought that the Harris campaign was going to be basically a victory lap also. It was going to be a campaign for Kamala Harris, but also steeped in that message was going to be and we're going to carry on from the great Joe Biden, and we are going to continue to carry the torch that Joe has carried so bravely. Like he's not getting any of that.
Strategically speaking, that would be a horrible, horrible strategy.
Yeah.
So why would she do that?
Yeah, it would be a horrible strategy because there is no torch to carry.
Yeah.
There is no long list of accomplishments.
I mean, he's always been so irrelevant in office too. Not irrelevant, but you know that he's not in control. He's like kind of a figurehead, and he has been for a long time.
His presidency
I
has
forgot
not
even
been.
was.
Yeah, like recent Democratic presidents, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, there was no doubt that they were at the top of their party, that they were the leaders, that they were the ones making the decisions. You've never felt that way when it comes to Joe Biden.
How old is Joe Biden right now?
164 years old. No, what is he? 80? He's 80 something.
That's crazy.
81, something like that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He's old.
When you think about it like that, it really puts it in perspective.
Sure does. Want to remind folks, tonight is, of course, the vice presidential debate, and we have our vice presidential debate watch party happening at Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. The festivities get underway here in just a few minutes with the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show live out at Johnny's Hideout starting at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, of course. Tim Jones and Chris Arp's live out there at Johnny's from 6 until 8. There will be appetizers and a live preview from everybody there in person. Tim and Chris, of course, part of that group. And then starting at 8 o'clock is the vice presidential debate. It'll be on every television out there with the volume turned up at Johnny's Hideout. So it'll be a great atmosphere, very cool place to enjoy the debate tonight. Get out there and check it out. Also, want to thank all of the sponsors for making a really cool event like this possible. Blue Sky Promotions and Apparel, Freddy's Market, Luxury Drivers STL, and St. Louis Pizza and Wings in Afton. And of course, Johnny's Hideout themselves for being the great hosts of this debate watch party tonight. If you can't get out to Johnny's and you are going to be working or doing other things tonight, and you just want to make sure that you don't miss the debate, also just tune in live right here to News Talk STL, as we will be carrying the debate live right here on the radio, so you don't have to miss anything. And of course, tomorrow, Emily and I will have all of the reaction and fallout from the debate. There's going to be, we today on today's show, talking with Crane Durham and with Susie Moore and with others, making a lot of predictions and, what we expect to see tonight. But there's always something that will catch us off guard, that we couldn't see coming, that we don't, like the story of the day, whatever it may be tomorrow, we will be all over it. So make sure you are back here with us. And keep it right here, because we have the O'Reilly Report next, followed by that live broadcast from Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. If you need more information about Johnny's, the address, or any other details, go to our website, newstalkstl.com, and you can get all of those if you want to head out there. But it is not too late, not too early, I should say, to head out there and be a part of this fun night tonight. As I said, the O'Reilly Report next. And then at 4 o'clock, the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show live from Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge. All right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you ready to stand against tyranny, strengthen the conservative movement, and enjoy tasty barbecue? Don't miss the 4th annual Missouri Young Republicans Freedom Fest Barbecue. Join us Saturday, October 12th at the St. Louis County GOP